a six-headed, man-eating monster, a flock that kills with an alluring song, a king who offends, reveres, and defies gods on his 10-year-long journey home. Each of these is only one part of an over 12,000-line epic poem filled with triumphs and tribulations. But what's more impressive is how long this tale has been told. Homer's Odyssey was believed put to page in the 8th century BCE, over 2,500 years ago. It's one of the oldest stories on the planet. It's been immortalized in literature for millennia, and with the recent buzz for Christopher Nolan's film adaptation, it shows no signs of slowing down. But why? How has the Odyssey withstood time's relentless pull into obscurity, unlike so many other tales? A mixture of compelling characters, mythic feats, and profoundly human themes have hardened the epic poem into a jewel of entertainment and enlightenment. 4 concepts highlight why the Odyssey is timeless. It's human nature to seek safety, to transform the unknown into something cozy and familiar, to find belonging and home like a ship anchored in the bay. Without a sense of home, no matter what that might be, we are vessels unmoored and at the mercy of unfamiliar winds. To return home is a weight lifted, and to long for home is agonizing. So acute is this longing for familiar, in fact, that in the 1600s, the pain of its absence was given a psychological definition: nostalgia. This term is derived from the Greek nostos, homecoming or returning to roots, and is the most significant theme of the Odyssey. Odysseus spent 10 long years away from Ithaca fighting in the Trojan War, but that's only half his battle. The hero spends another 10 years on his nostos, his return home. It's a journey fraught with many trials, dangers, and temptations. He makes great progress at times, and at others stumbles on the feet of insurmountable obstacles. Odysseus's is a hardship we can all sympathize with. The challenges we face out in the world are dangerous and daunting. Beyond the achievements we gain, it's our return to the familiar, our homecoming, that fills us with warmth. In the Odyssey, it's not enough to come home, but the way one returns and the state of their household afterwards is scrutinized. King Nestor, for instance, had nearly perfect nostos. He returned home swiftly and found his kingdom of Pylos in order. King Menelaus, meanwhile, was diverted for several years before returning home. Once back in court, however, he's trapped by the memories of his fallen comrades and the events of the Trojan War. He feels the pangs of nostalgia. Odysseus takes the longest, and Ithaca nearly falls to the selfish and wolfish suitors. His homecoming is filled with blood as those who betrayed Ithaca's king are put to death. Another theme that coincides with nostos is a sense of purpose, played out in Odysseus' imprisonment on Calypso's isle. For 7 years the man remains. It's an island paradise, a veritable Eden, and Calypso even offers Odysseus immortality, freedom from death. Despite this, his eyes are hollow, his soul is wayward, and he cries for his wife, his son, his kingdom. He has everything he could ever want on the island. Everything except purpose. And without purpose, he has nothing. This vignette highlights the importance of meaning in life and how worthless some of the great earthly treasures can be. This was a great connection, at least for me, a reminder that keeping up with the Joneses isn't always the best, and that oftentimes what we pursue doesn't truly make our lives whole. Death is universal, something we all flee that catches us nonetheless. Since humankind has understood its own impermanence, it's tried to defeat death by creating legacies and traditions, immortalizing individuals and deeds long after they've returned to the earth. Kleos is imperishable glory, the eternal renown that factors into Homer's epics, and though it's more prevalent in the Iliad, one could think of the entire Odyssey and the fact that it's remained in global literature as Odysseus' own Kleos. It's not simply to be remembered, but how future generations remember. if they honor or disparage. For the Greeks, gaining renown required virtues such as courage, determination, humility at times, and above all, a noble bearing. The Odyssey resonates through millennia not simply because it shows us heroes whose virtues are something that inspire, but because we see in them perhaps pieces of ourselves. Odysseus, Achilles, Hector, all the legends who've solidified their kleos aren't one-dimensionally good. They're all flawed. They all have failures and vices, which makes them all the more compelling. The Homeric theme of kleos asks us how exactly we wish to be remembered, what our lasting legacy will be. The Odyssey holds a dozen or so scenes that display the interaction between guest and host. This semi-religious theme of hospitality was critical to the ancient Greek concept of xenia, or guest friendship. When a guest or traveler appeared, it was good xenia for the host to bathe, anoint with oil, clothe and feed the individual before prying, not even going so far as asking their name until needs were met. Part of this came from the belief that gods often visited mortals, disguised as strangers at the door. In fact, we hear this line in the Odyssey that hits the essence of xenia. It's wrong, my friend, to send any stranger packing, even one who arrives in worse shape than you. Every stranger and beggar comes from Zeus. Beyond honoring the gods, hospitality created meaningful human bonds, reminded people of a universal fellowship and harmony. For the guests' part, they were expected to behave well, often brought gifts, and parted with blessings or words of wisdom. Examples of good xenia come when goddess Athena visits Odysseus' son Telemachus, disguised as Mentes, and the young host offers exceptional hospitality. So too, in Odysseus' appearance in Scheria, the island of the Phaeacians. Both Odysseus and King Alcinous demonstrate xenia. In other scenes, this guest friendship goes horribly awry. The Cyclops Polyphemus is a terrible host, eating Odysseus' men and cursing the man when he escapes. And Odysseus plays a worse guest. Short-tempered, he blinds the Cyclops, then gloats as he and his men leave. And then we have the suitors, who've invaded Odysseus' palace, ravaged his food stores, and demonstrated no sort of compassion or humility to Telemachus and Queen Penelope. For their betrayal of Xenia, the suitors wind up dead. Greek guest friendship reverberates through the centuries. We all have that desire to be seen, be attended to, and appreciated by a friend or host. We all feel that pull of fellowship, to be a good host ourselves, to be hospitable to those in need, for we know not their triumphs and tragedies. I think the concept of Xenia matters more than ever, because the extent of what it means to be a host or guest has never been broader. The internet, social media, they give us unlimited platforms to host discussions, join clubs, servers, and the like. But with the anonymity and distance of the digital age, it's all too easy to fall victim to bad Xenia. I'm not saying to douse each Reddit commenter in oil and feast them, but just remember, we're all on this planet together. Trials and temptations are rampant throughout the Odyssey. First, the drugged-out bliss but forgetfulness of the Lotus Eaters. Then the rage of Polyphemus, the wiles of Circe and Calypso, the allure of the Sirens, the famished hunger for Helios' bulls. Odysseus and his crew face so many hardships that in the end, he is the only one that remains. Thrasymos is a great testing. It's the challenge of mental, physical, and spiritual constancy in the face of adversities, and such tests plague Odysseus in his 10-year journey home. They're designed to show the reader the rewards, most often survival or glory, for remaining true to one's goal, contrasted against the fate, death or a loss of identity, of succumbing to external forces, outside temptations. We all face challenges in life. We're pulled in 1,000 different directions, and it's up to us to figure out which are the just rewards and which are the terrible fates. With Odysseus, we see firsthand just how difficult these tests can be. And again, what makes him a compelling character is that he too falters. He at times gives in to the siren's call. The trials are the action of the story, the unforgettable scenes with Charybdis and Scylla, with the enchantress Circe, with vengeful Poseidon. The trials are also the message, the lesson to be learned from Odysseus' struggle. That this is universal strikes a chord in all our hearts and ensures the words of Homer's epic continue on to generations. No matter the time or place, there will be people who must face their Pyrasmos. Thanks for watching, and please share your thoughts on why you think the Odyssey is timeless, what themes you feel strongly about, or perspectives you've gained. See you in the next one.